What I'd rather do is show you sort of the proper low-level basic way to debug something like this, starting from scratch. And actually, it involves another step that you are going to have to do. And I need everyone who doesn't already know how to do this sort of stuff to actually trust me and believe that this is something you want to be able to do. So what I want you to do is you want you to find a paint package that you're comfortable with if you don't already have one. So for example, I usually use GIMP. We've been trying out Kita on the stream. That one seems pretty good as well. But usually I use GIMP, and you can get that for any platform. And so what I want you to do is I want you to find a paint program that you're comfortable with, that is reasonably, that works reasonably well and can save, a variety of file formats and whatever. And what we are going to do is we are going to make a piece of what's called structured art. It's basically an art file that is designed to make it easy for us to debug it, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a file. I'm going to make one that's pretty tiny for starters, right? I'm going to make one, let's say, I'm just picking these numbers totally randomly. I'm going to make one that's 60 pixels by 40 pixels, okay? That seems totally reasonable to me. So here is my 60 pixel by 40 pixel bitmap, right? Then what I want to do is I want to kind of come in here and I want to make this guy, I want to make something where I'm going to be able to put a pattern into it such that when I load it into our program, I know what I should be seeing everywhere. I know what the values should be, right? So what you have to do in GIMP, you need to add an alpha channel if you just have one by default in order to get something that actually has alpha like this, right? Which is what I actually wanted. So this is actually, this has a 0 in the alpha channel everywhere, right? And so now what I want to do is I want to kind of go in there and I want to put in something that I can easily understand. So I'm going to use the pencil tool and I'm going to go ahead and set that size down to like 1 pixel. It's kind of awful, GIMP is at editing pixels. So like, for stuff like this, you'd arguably be better served with something else. But it's something I know how to use, so I'm going to use it. So what I'm going to do, just as a very simple example of what I'm talking about, is I'm going to go ahead and make one red pixel, right, at the beginning, okay? I'm going to go down here to the last row, and I'm going to make a blue pixel, right? And again, I'm actually making something that's literally 5500. So I'm going to go in here and make something that's like the other thing, 255, 255. I'm going to put that right there, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and say, all right, at the very end of the row, I'm going to put a green in both cases, right? So I'm going to go ahead and say, all right, let's go 0, 255, 0, right? So I'm going to put that green. I'm going to put a green right there, and I'm going to put a green right here. There we go. So there I've got my sort of pixels in known locations. And then I'm going to also furthermore do something where I get that second row. The second row I'm going to set to be yellow. Okay, right there. And I think that's about it for now. So this is my bitmap, right? Now you may ask why on earth I'm doing this, but the answer is because, well, the things that are going to go wrong when I actually do this. Oh, you know what? I should do one more thing, I think, actually. I should do one more thing. I'm going to set the next pixel basically to be, let's say, maybe white. I'll set the next pixel to be white. So everything's set. So the next pixel will be white on that one and on this one. So basically what I've done here is I've put colors in very specific strategic locations so that I could see, so that I would know when we look at the actual binary that we load in, I would be able to see where things are. I think I'm also going to cap with black, potentially, just as one further thing, just so I can kind of make sure that there's zeros next to these guys, if that makes sense. Something like that. Yeah, that looks a little better. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to export this. I'm going to export this as a special test bitmap that we can use to essentially calibrate our loading code, if that makes sense. So this is structured art.bmp, let's say, and when it comes up with all of these options, what I want to do is say, all right, I want it to be in the 32-bit ARGB format, which is what I tried to save the other guys in. And of course, maybe maybe I didn't quite do it right, but that's the format that I want to save in. So 32-bit ARGB, which is what I thought we were using. I'm going to go ahead and export that like so. And now we have a bitmap whose structure I know exactly, right? So I'm going to come in here now, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look at that bitmap in the loader and see if I can verify that we are loading things properly, right? So it's that structured art. Instead of going in there, it's structured art.bitmap, right? That's what it's going to be. And I am going to step in here like so. And now after we read the entire file, again, we're reading structured art.bmp. We look at the header, and the header should tell us the things that we thought it should be, such as the width and the height, and it does look like that's actually the case. So that's all good. And then we have sort of this bitmap offset that's supposed to be where the actual pixels start, and so we're using that here to offset ourselves to that location. And so now what I should be able to do is look at the actual pixels themselves, and I should actually now be able to see structured values that tell me what I am actually looking at, right? So if I look at these pixels, and I'm going to go ahead and say, let's look at the first row that comes in, right? And I'm going to go ahead and say that I knew that thing was supposed to be 60 wide. In fact, you know what? I'll look a little bit further than 60. Let's look at like 64, so we can see a little bit over the edge of that first row. And so now if I look at this, what do I see, right? Well, I see that there's that FFF, there's that FF on the low that's filled 3 pixels in, right? And then I see a bunch of stuff that looks kind of, I don't know, that looks sort of like it's almost, if we were to read this in little endian format, basically, this would actually be, we would expect that to be the red, that to be the green, that to be the blue, and this to be the alpha, right? But if this were in big endian format, again, we would expect it to be the opposite, right? So we would expect it to go, okay, the top part would be the alpha, and then, sorry, the bottom part would be the alpha, so it'd be RGBA, right? Looking like that. So looking at all of these zeros here, it pretty much tells me that either we're off by a little bit, or these are getting read in not the same color order as we think of them, right? Because when we were thinking of them, this was A, this was R, this was G, this was B. And it's pretty clear that our bitmap, when we made it, was not at all, like most of the values in it should have a 0 alpha. And so that 0 is clearly our alpha. And so why the alpha is ending up there is a very good question, right? And something that we need to think about.